Well, thanks, Andrew. That's Andrew Ching speaking to us live from the ODM headquarters. Let's cross over to Wasingishu, where Lois Wango has got us covered for everything that's happening there. Lois, what's the latest?
Good afternoon to you, Gladys and Trevor. We are coming to you live from Eldoret in the county of Uasin Gishu. At this particular hour, voting is ongoing. The 6 constituencies that comprise Uasin Gishu County early in the day, voting kicked off in 2 constituencies in good time. That is Ainapkoi constituency and Kapseret. The others had a bit of due to logistical challenges of just delivering the voting material to these particular constituencies. Wananchi across the county expressing optimism and also calm, just awaiting for the process to begin. As it is, they're both gubernatorial contestants who are eyeing this particular Jubilee nomination ticket. The incumbent Governor Jackson Mandego and his closest rival, observers say, businessman Zedekiah Buzeki have just cast their votes, and they are all expressing optimism that this particular day will not be a replica of Friday, and rather everything will go on smoothly. That notwithstanding, small hitches have been going on. For example, Wananchi complaining that their names are missing from the IEBC.
Lois Ongwe speaking to us from Uasin Gishu County. We're having a technical hitch, but we'll get back to her as soon as we sort that out. But the primary is still going on there, and a lot of turnout, as she said, to vote for this primaries. And of course, remember, Jubilee is having its primaries in 16 counties. ODM is having their primaries in 5 of those counties. But in this hour, of course, as we said earlier on, we had our panelists with us still speaking of the issues at hand. And one that seems to be popping up every time is the issue of integrity. We've talked about that, but there's one big question that is coming up, and Trevor has that to pose to one of our panelists.
Absolutely, and thanks for that. This one goes to Kavore Karaoke, and we've also seen it, even Andrew was mentioning it earlier on at the ODM headquarters, where there's a push and pull between the Tana River residents saying that Thomas Modegu was the one who was declared and therefore he has to run. And yesterday, of course, as well, he mentioned that he would be on the ballot, even if it means he runs as an independent. And Joe Kongo on Facebook says that these politicians who, after losing party nominations, believe they can win the general election as independent candidates should have just gone the independent candidate way from the beginning if they're so popular on the ground. And you mentioned that you were part of Jubilee, but now you decided to go independent. Is it that you don't believe in the guidelines anymore?
No, Trevor, I think you got that wrong. And yes, I do agree with what the commentator is saying.
Yes.
I have been independent through this election time.
Yes.
And I made a decision prior to the deadlines that were given by IBC to even leave and resign from a party that I had previously in another election year run on, to resign so I could be fully independent.
And that is where my question is. Does that mean you don't believe in the party principles anymore?
Obviously, yes. You know, anytime you're fooled once, you don't want to be fooled the second time. So as a matter of fact, I do understand and feel and connect with those aspirants who are feeling fooled. And obviously, they do not want to be fooled the second time. And I support them, or anybody who wants to run as an independent, because it's actually, it shows that our democracy is maturing, that people are beginning to think that, why should I allow a party to constrain me from bringing about the change that I want to bring about in my country? And therefore, the option you have, and that is provided within our constitution, is to run as an independent candidate. But there are those, obviously, because they are won fair and square and then jump parties. Those ones I do not condone. I think those ones ought to really take a breather when you have been beat fair and square. It is okay to take a breather. Because on August 8th, there's only going to be one candidate who actually wins. Yeah. There will be so many, like in Langata, where we have over 20 at the moment who are running for office, member of parliament. But ultimately, August 8th, only one will be announced as a victor.
Simeha, I have to ask this question to you. Fair and square seems to be relative in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair and square depends on from what we are seeing, depends on whether you've won or you haven't won. Yet, fair and square should be such that regardless of who looks at it and the process and the results, they still come up with the same conclusion that this was fair and square and fair. But from what we are seeing, it depends on who feels that they've been favored and who feels that it's gone against them, against their expectation. If I bring in a bit of what he's saying, it is better to observe and make a decision in advance. Because you can believe in a party because of what you see, maybe if you are not a member of the founding team, because of what you see in the documents of the party, because of what you hear the leaders of this party articulating and say, that's what I believe in, that's what I want to be part of. I want to associate with these people. And you go in and you begin to associate with this party as a member. But then along the way, you discover that no, it's not what I thought. Because they're very good in projecting what they say in public, in the media, in documents, constitution, policy documents, and so on. But then you find that some of the things we are witnessing are actually being carried out by these very same party leaders. Completely a huge conflict. No, you don't want, sometimes people reach a point where they feel, you don't want to live with that kind of conflict. You want consistency in what the party says it stands for through its leaders and in what it actually stands for on the outside and on the inside. So I can understand people like him who, in advance, not because they've just lost a nomination, but in advance they look at the party and they decide, hold on, I thought, it's not what I thought. But there has to be also other people who say, look, there is something in this party that still can be salvaged. It's still, because you probably look at the alternative and it's not any better, it's probably worse. And if you believe like myself, I believe in political processes, we need institutions. Whereas I acknowledge the importance of the space for people to run as independent candidates, I believe for us to develop our democracy, to grow our democracy as a nation, we need institutions. We need political institutions, including political parties. So therefore, there has to be people, a group of people who sacrifice and say, there is something in here that can be salvaged. I will stick in here, and I will fight. And you don't have to be one running for office, for MCA or for MP, for anything. You could be in any position in the party, or even just an ordinary member, but mobilize within the party, put pressure on these leaders. Insist that they must stick to what the party said it stands for. And keep at it. For me, that is what is loyalty. If they have to be criticized, even on national TV as we are doing, we have to do it. We are being loyal to this nation when we criticize Jubilee and ODM and the other parties when they show us the kind of things they're showing us.
Can I say I sort of agree with you that
sort of,
not completely, that we do need institutions. I think institutions are incredibly important. An institution like democracy is incredibly important in how we elect and vote and nominate candidates. However, I do have to disagree with you slightly, dear panelist, on one particular point, and that is, I do think that the rise of an independent candidate will be incredibly important for this democracy. And I said this a couple of months ago on this same station, is that, you know, when you look at the grassroots candidate is not beholden to any party, right? They don't owe anyone anything. They don't have to pay back. When you look at, even in the United States, when you look at Bernie Sanders was an independent candidate who switched over to become a Democrat to run for president because we have a two-party system and that's the way that it goes.
I have to cut you off at this point. So
Sure.
We have a signal coming to us from Kisumu, where our reporter Okusa is on the ground, and he has the latest from there. Remember, ODM is holding its primaries in Kisumu, Siaya, Makueni, Garissa, and Vihiga. Okusa?
Yes, what is happening is that the exercise here in Kisumu began on a slow motion. That is as a result of lack of enough clerks and presiding officers to handle the process, and also late distribution of ballot materials. Even as we speak now, in Muhoroni constituency, a lot of polling stations are yet to receive their ballot materials, meaning that the process is yet to get underway in those areas. A similar situation has also been experienced in Kisumu East constituency, where some wards are also still waiting for the ballot materials to trickle down there. But the greatest problem here in Kisumu, as for now, is the final tallying center, that is the county tallying center, which is yet to be identified. We spoke earlier with the National Election Board Secretary of the Orange Party, that is Robert Arunga, and as late as midday, they are yet to identify the final tallying center. And you know this is very crucial. The final tallying center is very crucial for this exercise. Actually, that is where all the results from the 7 constituencies are supposed to be tallied so that we can have the final winner in this exercise. But that has not happened, and it's causing a lot of anxiety among the aspirants. We spoke with Professor Anyang' Nyong'o earlier in Rata, where he cast his ballot at around 10, and he said that he was yet to receive communication from the National Election Board regarding the tallying center. So that is what is happening now. Otherwise, in other areas like where I am at Kisumu Sports Ground, that is Market Milimani Ward, the exercise has been going on. You can see long queues, which is as a result of few clerks to handle the process. Back to the studio.
Uko Kuse, Kisumu was one of the counties that the primaries had to be deferred to today. Question is, what's the general feeling from the electorate about that movement?
Yes, of course, it has been disappointing because the electorate here expected to participate in this exercise on Monday, but that didn't happen, as we all know that it was postponed on the 11th hour, and it was pushed to today. And that sort of has also affected the turnout, because according to a lot of expectations is that the turnout we are experiencing now is, it should have been more than this, exactly. So sort of the postponement caused some voter apathy. But otherwise, as we have already observed, the turnout is still spectacular. Back to the studio.
Ouko, one of the main issues that was happening there is that the polling clerks were alleged to be allied to a certain candidate. Are the people happy with the ones who have taken over today?
Trevor, a lot has not changed actually. We have seen the same faces who were initially rejected by some of the aspirants. But even just a while ago, we spoke with one of the governorship aspirants, that is Dr. Marco Beo, and he said that they are sort of okay with the clerks that are handling the process, even though earlier in the morning when we talked to Anyang' Nyong'o, who was being accused of appointing some of these officials, he denied and said that he has no hand in the election, the county election committee composition. Trevor.
Uko Kusa speaking to us live from Kisumu, where he says that according to him the turnout is spectacular. Even though it was supposed to happen yesterday, it was moved today. And Nikia, before we went to Kisumu, you were finishing your point about this integrity issue and the independent candidate race, which was brought up by Joe Okongo.
Yeah, I think, running as an independent and working from the grassroots, right, where you're not beholden to any particular party, I think may not be a bad move for many candidates, especially with the party hopping, especially with the cost of buying into a political party, especially what's going on now with the primaries and how kind of in some places they are not working as well. Listen, if you win as an independent candidate or a grassroots candidate, you do not owe anyone anything once you get into that office. You literally have the ability to make your own kind of way without having to answer to a father or to a queen mother, right? So I think it's a much more powerful position. Now, in the United States with Bernie Sanders, he was an independent who switched over to Democrat to run as president, and then after he did not get the nomination, after he was cheated out of the nomination, I should be very clear about that, he then went back to independent. The same thing with the previous New York Mayor Bloomberg, who was independent and then became a Republican to run for the mayoral seat in New York. They understand that, listen, being independent gives us a bit more leverage and a bit more power than we really kind of sitting at the beholden of the establishment. I think the only real problem that independent or grassroots candidates might see is that if they do win, yes, they win with a mandate. They win with much more, I think, power and gusto than somebody who is on a nomination ticket or a party ticket. Their biggest problem will probably be holding court within a parliamentary setting or a senatorial setting or a gubernatorial setting, because especially with the parliament, the Senate, and the MCAs, you need votes in order to be able to pass or legislate a law. And if you're not able to build a coalition within those particular parties, that is going to be a really big problem for you or for a candidate who's running independent or grassroots. But I do think that I hope to see more and more candidates run independent and run grassroots, because I do think that it will really change and put pressure on the status quo to do the right thing. Listen, when you look at somebody like Bernie Sanders, it is changing the conversation around the Democrats. The Democrats are really like, we didn't listen, we didn't do what we're supposed to do, and now we need to change the way that we do business and the way that we listen to people. Same thing with the Republicans. They did not listen, and they thought that Donald Trump was a joke. Now he's the 45th president of the United States, dropping bombs on places like Afghanistan, but that's another point. But now they're also changing their conversation as well around, you know, what do we need to do as a party to fix this? What do we need to do to build stronger candidates, to listen to our constituency? What do we need to do to take back control? And I think independent candidates in some way help to move that needle for parties who have become laxed and who have become really kind of drunk on their own power.
Simeha, I know you want to, chip in on that, but before we do, I'm told we have that signal back from Uasin Gishu County, and Lois Wangui is standing by.
Indeed, thank you for joining us again live from the county of Uasin Gishu, and our sincere apologies for that technical hitch, dear viewer. The current status of events is that voting is ongoing in the 6 constituencies that comprise Uasin Gishu County. As I mentioned earlier, logistical challenges and a few other challenges here and there have also seen the process kick off on a low note, according to Wananchi. A section of them getting a bit disappointed, citing challenges because some are complaining that their names are not featuring in the IEBC's list, and as such they are not able to express their democratic rights on this day that Jubilee is conducting its party primaries here in the North Rift. Currently voting is ongoing in all the 6 constituencies, albeit lately in the constituency of Ainap and Keses. These particular residents were able to kickstart the nomination process in good time, but the residents of Kapseret, residents of Ziwa, residents of Soy, also residents of Tarbo have expressed disappointment with the ongoing nomination process, because the process took a bit of time before it kicked off. That notwithstanding, the process is generally peaceful, save for the few technical hitches, as I mentioned already, as have also cast their votes and expressed confidence that the Jubilee Party primaries will be free and fair. Earlier, we were able to catch up with the incumbent Governor Jackson Mandego, and also the aspirant also for that particular seat, Zedekiah Bozeki, who are observed as the two who will go head-to-head for that particular Jubilee nomination ticket. Both of them have cast in Soy and Ainapkoi constituencies consecutively, and they are just calling for calm from their supporters to just go through the nomination process calmly, also to await tallying and eventual release of results later in the day. In the neighboring county of Nandi, the process kicked off yesterday, and currently the tallying process is nearing. In the gubernatorial position, we can confidently report that area Senator Stephen Sang has given the pack that was contesting for the Nandi gubernatorial ticket a run for their money, because currently he is leading. He's being followed closely by Kano era politician Henry Kosgei. The incumbent Cleophas Lagat, Governor Cleophas Lagat, coming at a distant 4th, and in 3rd position is former agriculture CS Felix Kosgei. So from the county of Nandi, the incumbent seemingly losing it to Stephen Sang, also within the Jubilee Party. In the neighboring county of Elgeyo Marakwet, the incumbent Governor Alex Tolgos seemingly enjoying a good lead from Jackson Kiptanui, who's coming in 2nd. And Jackson Kiptanui, who was also eyeing the Jubilee gubernatorial ticket in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, did issue a statement questioning how the primaries were carried out and saying he does believe that he is seemingly losing to the incumbent Governor Alex Solgos of Elgeyo Marakwet in a free and fair manner. But generally the situation is calm. The voting is ongoing in all the 6 constituencies of Uasin Gishu County. We'll be sure to come to you with more updates, but before I leave, just to mention the seats that we are following very closely is that of the governor's position. Remember, and let's observe, it is the incumbent Governor Jackson Mandago versus Zedekiah. We'll be coming back to you with that as the day progresses, and of course as tallying officially begins. We also have 2 very important constituencies here in the county of Uasin Gishu. The constituency of Kapsaret, let's begin with it. We have Oscar Sudi going head to head, as analysts observe, with Kiawa. So who will it be? Will Oscar Sudi maintain his position as the king of Kapsaret, or will we have a new sheriff in town, Kiawa, in the neighboring constituency of Keses, a very key constituency because this constituency controls about 60% of the wealth of Uasin Gishu County. Just to mention, Keses constituency is home to Moi International Airport. It is home to the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. It is home to Moi University, and recently Keses became home to the recently constructed $7 billion first fertilizer producing plant in the country. Going head to head in that county are 4 aspirants whom analysts observe it is going to be a very interesting seat to watch. One of them is Dr. Swarup Misra, an investor in this county and also coming from the medical background. We have the county speaker of Uasin Gishu, Speaker Isaac Terrer. We also have the son of politician Alan Koske, and of course the incumbent James Bett will be following that very, very closely. For now, we are heading to the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, where we are getting word that Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, who has also won, given a good distance from his competitors, and Alex Solgos expected to stay just a convoy in town to thank the people who voted for them ahead of the primaries. For now, back to you, Gladys and Trevor in Nairobi.
Well, thanks, Lois, for that comprehensive analysis of what's happening in Uasin Gishu County. We're going to cross over straight to Kiambu, where our very own Brenda Wanga has been following the developments there. Brenda, what's the latest?
Well, thank you, Trevor. We're still here in Kiambu Town, Community Hall, Kiambu Sub-County. It's just about 4 hours to the close of the polling session right where we are right now, and the tallying of the votes that will have been cast today will start. This exercise here happening in all the 12 constituencies that make up Kiambu County, almost all of them starting on time in the morning around between 6, 7 and 8. There were delays in just about 2 constituencies in Lari and Limuru, and then there was of course the issue that happened in Gatundu South. Other than that, the exercise here has been running rather smoothly. The officers taking care of this, overseeing this party primaries for Jubilee in this county, saying that they are satisfied with the measures taken or put in place by the Jubilee Party Secretariat to ensure that this exercise runs smoothly, as opposed to what happened last Friday. Speaking to the presiding officer at this particular polling session, he tells us there have been quite a number of changes in the way this process is being carried out. For instance, they have increased the number of streams at each polling session, which means more people are getting served that much faster. They have also changed the color of the ballot papers. Last Friday, the ballot booklets that were delivered and distributed to the polling centers here were of full color. Today, that has changed to just black and white, an issue that perhaps caused a few jitters in some stations, especially for those who had seen the previous ballot papers, but that has also been addressed and the exercise has taken off smoothly. In this county, we mentioned earlier on, the biggest jewel is for the seat of the governor of Kiambu County, a seat currently held by William Kabogo, the incumbent, and a seat that Ferdinand Waititu wants to take from William Kabogo. There has been, of course, all this, a lot of stories about all teams, both teams using propaganda to scare off the voters from the other side, and but all of them actually now encouraging their voters to just come out and cast their votes. We have seen a very, very heated campaign between these two parties. Of course, Ferdinand Waititu there getting the backing of other contestants who were going for this seat, but they decided to drop their bid and support him as they try to unseat the incumbent. We have been informed that polling stations will close at around 5, especially for those that opened at 7 a.m. in the morning, and then the vote tallying will begin. For instance, all the votes from the Kiambu sub-county will be tallied at this center where we are right now, and after that they will be expected to transmit the results for forward announcement of who exactly will have carried the day, both at the governor's level, at the senator's level, another seat that has attracted quite a number of contestants, about 9 of them all gunning for this Jubilee ticket. All the 12 constituencies will know who will be carrying the Jubilee ticket onto the August ballot, the MCAs, the women representatives. So it is quite a packed day here, but all in all, no major incidents or accidents that have occurred here, and we will be bringing you these updates as they happen, and as we move that much closer to the to the end of voting in the Jubilee Party primaries here in Kiambu County. Back to you in studio, Gladys.
Speaking to us from Kiambu County, one of the areas that Jubilee is having their primaries, of course, the other side of Gatundu South started off on a marquee. It had a marquee start with the violence that happened there, but it was quelled at some point, and we'll be getting details from there as Kennedy Murithi is following that up for us. But before we get to Kennedy, we come back to the issue of the independent candidate, and you needed to say something in as far as that is concerned with Kenyan politics.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, first of all, I'm in agreement that independent candidates have, it's a very important space for this affected grassroots communities to rise up and demonstrate their power by, show their defiance to these juggernauts called political parties that don't want to be responsive to the needs of the people. So it is a very important space. However, my argument for institutions is based on the context is the political system we have in this country. It's even constitutional that, Kenya will be a multi-party democracy. And it's important, it's not for nothing, it's not just mere words. Because when you look at the culture of our politics, institutions, regardless of whatever institutions, even if it's the tribe, they're extremely important for identifying, aggregating and articulating interests. And that's what politics is all about. When you are an individual, it's extremely difficult to push a case, either for yourself or for the community of the people you represent. You somehow have to find some kind of affiliation in the political process in this country with an institution called a political party. In fact, in many national processes, in and out of parliament, independent candidates, independent politicians, independent MPs, senators, and so on, don't have any space around the table, at the table. It's actually negotiated only between political parties. Never mind, they're not the perfect parties that they ought to be. But because they have a name of an institution of a political party, they're the ones invited at the table in parliament to negotiate who will sit in committees, who will negotiate this law, who will negotiate this outside of parliament as well in many national processes. They get slots. Never mind how they use those slots, but they get slots to negotiate. This is why I say, even as we protect that and encourage people to use that space for independent candidates, we must have a critical mass helping to build better political parties, because we have to build them as institutions of change and progress in this country. At some point, and the example of Sanders that you gave, at some point these nice, progressive, independent individuals will need these institutions ultimately to change the country.
Absolutely.
And my final word, because I guess as I said, I can just give my final word. I know that you'll probably have time to come back to me. In what's happening, we must not tire. I see people complaining, feeling very frustrated and so on. Unfortunately, after the elections, people will drop all these frustrations and feelings and now begin to scramble to negotiate anything, whatever they can get, from their leaders and political parties and so on. We often make that mistake when we ought not to. In fact, I am hoping that a lot of people who are now officials in political parties they'll give themselves nominations and name it, all these positions, and get away from these parties. I hope some progressive people can come in and grab these positions and now run these parties, beginning this year, not wait until the next election, but beginning this year, begin to chart a better agenda for political parties as important institutions in our politics. So we shouldn't give up. Candidates, voters, they must continue agitating until after election and even beyond that.
Okay.
Thank you again, Trevor. Let me give you my brief reasoning on how I got to be an independent candidate. I made a decision to run for office a while back. I did some due diligence on the parties. I then went out and selected 3 key parties that I felt that their manifestos kind of reflected what I needed to do or what I wanted to see happen in our country. So I went and visited with these political parties, 3 of them, 2 big, 1 small. And after meeting with the chairman, and some of them was the chair of the election committee, I got some information also internally, and then went back to my constituents. And I asked them and told them, this is the kind of feedback I'm getting. I understand if we run with this major party, there is already someone who has been tainted as a project for that party. Money has exchanged hands on this other party. So what do? We're going to get lost in this murky situation. So we made a decisive decision to run as an independent. And that is why Kavori Kariuki is running as an independent candidate in Langata constituency for Member of Parliament. Now, getting back to our integrity question, it is important that, and Kenyans have actually shown it by how they have been speaking to us as they queue, as they are running away from gunfire, as they try to nominate their leaders. The Constitution is replete with examples of how these elections ought to be conducted. Our institutions have failed us. We have to be very clear on that, because the boots are not on the ground to protect my mother and your mother and that disabled person who is being trampled upon as they try to exercise their right. Then we also have to blame the parties and ask the parties in our country to please come of age. I know they're not used to holding a democratic nomination process. I mean, this is almost the first time we're actually going through something that appears or has the semblance of being above board, although there is so much that has been left to be desired. People want to bring about positive change. Integrity is a key issue. That is why the issue of Waiguru in Kirinyaga, winning with a landslide, comes in. Because when you think about NYS, and then, oh, look, apparently she's going to more or less be the governor of Kirinyaga. Now, then you look around the corner and you see other people who have also been tainted with a lot of integrity issues, where they have looted billions from Wanjiku, that our doctors went for several months without pay. Our hospitals did not have the medication that we needed. And yet these people are asking us to return them back to office. Okay. So Wanjiku is asking, it's about time that we opted to choose somebody else other than the person that the party is proposing we elect. And that is why you will see a lot of independent candidates like myself will come out even after this nomination process and actually take center stage. And in this next August House, I would almost guarantee you that we are going to have an excess number of independent candidates, more so than in the past. Okay, we'll see how that turns out, and we'll probably call you back here. Nikki, a final word real quick, we're running out of time.
I think the final word is Kenya is a young, maturing democracy. Mistakes will be made. You have to learn from those mistakes. Constituency have to hold their elected officials responsible, and elected officials are servants, and they should not be thought of any other way. And know that reacting to violence is really not going to change anything, because the kings of the country will still be kings of the country after you're hurt. Okay.
All right.
All right. We want to thank our guests, Nikia J. White, political analyst, and Joseph Simeha, political analyst as well, and Kavori Kariuki, who's a political analyst, but was also an aspirant for Member of Parliament in Langata as an independent. Earlier on, we had Gabriel Muduma, who left midway, but we'll get them back again tomorrow to just talk about all the issues that are happening. This is the end. We are making space for our Swahili co-anchors, but from myself to you, thank you for watching. My name is Trevor Mbija. Gladys.
My name is Gladys Gashanja. Thank you so much for your company on hashtag Decision 2017 right here on NTV today. Remember, we are covering all corners of this country to make sure that you have the latest in as far as the primaries are concerned. As I continue, remember that deadline was extended to May 1st. So we shall be here with the latest. Stay with us. Have a good afternoon.
Beat it. I paid for this session, so I'm going to finish it.
You guys want some juicy fruit?
Yeah, sure.
Juicy Fruit, now also available in bubble gum. More bubble, more fun.
If you're a toy, then you're in luck. It's okay, don't be afraid. The doc really knows her stuff.
Doctoring the doc.
Hi, guys. Is she okay?
Achoo! Gonna check your ears, check your eyes.
Find out how much you've grown.
Doc, you have a severe case of leaky sniffleitis.
I guess I'd better go see my mom.
Troops, we've got a VIP patient, and we're gonna treat her that way. Doc, you're gonna lie on down. Squeakers, fluff that pillow. Get your head down there, Missy.
Sorry, Squeakers.
Achoo!
Thanks.
It's okay, don't be afraid. The doc really knows her stuff.
Introducing the new Galaxy J5 and J7 Prime with stunning design, Gorilla Glass, a full HD screen, and a 13-megapixel camera. Now available at all Samsung authorized dealer shops countrywide. Samsung.
Okay, what are you doing?
She graduated from Emerson College and was running an online master's program while she interned for the Forbes Guys company. We connected right away and it felt right.
No, I'm not ready. I'm not even wife material yet. Like, I'm still half-baked at everything. Only experience can give you that. You cannot just wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is spread your legs over bread, butter, and juice on our expensive table watching TV.
Why? Who even knows we're back from Zanzibar?
Well, I told Mom, but we had a deal. Oh my God.
Don't most people want to see wild animals out in the wild in their natural habitat?
We are proud of our park that we can keep that number of rhinos.
They are the most critically endangered species. As long as the demand is there, the pressure of poaching will remain.
We are really working so hard to ensure that that population is kept.
I believe it's a calling.
They really are conservation heroes.
And we are proud of them.
You may not be a ranger, but what is your contribution to conservation?
NTV Wild Talk, in partnership with the Kenya Wildlife Service and Wildlife Direct.
Introducing the new Galaxy J5 and J7 Prime with stunning design, Gorilla Glass, a full HD screen, and a 13-megapixel camera. Now available at all Samsung authorized dealer shops countrywide. Samsung.
In many places around the globe, people cross borders because of fear, oppression, and persecution. But in East Africa, we cross borders for the right reasons: business, careers and education, trade, and much more. No wonder we are one of the world's fastest growing regions, and the East African newspaper is championing the region's growth and integration. In East Africa, we know no borders to our potential. Connect to opportunity every week with the East African newspaper. The East African, understanding the region.
Prepare to be entertained in 3, 2, 1.
Ten Republic fam, are you ready? My name is Tracy Wanjira.
They call me the baddest presenter, Martin Kimavi. Mr. Flavor from Nigeria.
The phenomenal woman. This is Kylie Jones.
Yeah. Man, 2017, we're giving you more adventure, more music, more entertainment.
Enjoy trends, for the trendsetters out there like us.
We champions,
champions.
Everything burudani, you can find it on Tin Republic, and make sure you follow us on our social media handles.
Tin Republic on Twitter, Facebook, Tin Republic, Instagram, Tin Republic.
Kibao unachopenda ukitaka kucheza cheza muziki. Bambata, shika, kamata.
Teen Republic, where everything dope happens.
We champions, 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 champions.
These are Standard 6 pupils, and this is what they have to put up with.
4 years after graduating, John Kariuki is still stuck in an unemployment rut.
Trouble has been brewing over these lands over the last couple of months.
Huyo alipigwa risasi 3.
And at night, no one stays here. The women and the children leave the camps and only the brave warriors stay around.
The lady is physically challenged, and they say the last time they had a meal was a week ago.
The water levels are diminishing fast, a depiction that the drought is still here for a long time to come.